Hey everyone, Genome here, coming at you with the next episode of The Copper Mine. In this one, I'm going to take a look at a gem of a book that never really gets talked about, but is one of my personal favorites from that era. I've actually shown this cover before, and hopefully my prop here hasn't given it away, but obviously it is this one right here, West Coast Avengers number 69. This was released in April of 1991. What a great year. Let's see, what was I? Sophomore in high school at that time, I think, so... This is right in the middle of the glory days. You know, you had, let's see, Shaquille O'Neal was tearing up the NBA, I believe, at this time. Let's see, Barry Sanders, I still think, was the number one running back. If not him, Emmitt Smith. Actually, Emmitt Smith, I think, might have taken it by then. Of course, that being Cowboys dynasty and all that, but whatever. Melrose Place is probably the number one show on TV. If not, 90210, Beverly Hills. I don't know, I didn't watch it, so... But anyway, you get the idea. It was the 90s, early 90s. So, let's talk a little bit about this issue. First off, the art is by Paul Ryan and Danny Bellinati. So, obviously, a quality product, artistically speaking, throughout the book. The story was written by Roy and Dan Thomas, and it's a good one. It's kind of a self-contained book, but there's a little bit of intrigue going on from, you know, previous issues, a little bit, but not a whole lot. Basically, you don't need to read the previous ones to know what's going on here. So, let's talk a little bit about this one. I've already mentioned the art, which is spectacular, but check out this cover. This action cover is amazing, man. So I already mentioned the art, but I will further go into a little bit of the art on the cover itself, and it's a good display of just physics itself, you know. I mean, the punch is coming from U.S. Agent's right, and he's hitting Hank, a.k.a. Hawkeye, on the left side, but he's flying to the right, so his whole body's twisting to the right. Anyway, just good physics. I like that, little adherence to principle. They could have made it where he just flew straight back, and might have been a little bit easier to draw, but so I think that's just a nice little touch. Let me get you a little closer shot of it, and hopefully I don't get too much flare. I took the sleeve off it, so hopefully it comes through a little better, but I'll, of course, putting something up around here, somewhere, a little graphic, just kind of give you a good, better view of it. So, alright, so we talked about the art, and we told you who the writers were, so let's talk a little bit about the story and why I think this is such a great issue. Okay, well, I think this is a great issue twofold. For one, it really delves into the behaviors of basically two alpha males, for want of a better term, butting heads with each other here in a competitive environment. But what I do find interesting about this one is it kind of digs into some character traits of U.S. Agent, and why I will vehemently disagree with anyone who says he was nothing but a Captain America clone. He dressed like him, he had a shield, he even had the mantle of Captain America for a while, but he was not Captain America. He was a deeply flawed character. He had gotten his super abilities basically by ill-gotten gains. He had bought his super strength and basically body upgrade. So basically he's about 10 times stronger than Captain America, just as a base level. But he purchased those powers with money from the power broker, I think it was, and he got his training from the Taskmaster, once again, paid for. But, okay, so he took all the training and didn't use it for nefarious purposes. But he has been shown time and time again to be not the most stable. He is incredibly insecure, which manifests itself in him always trying to prove himself in either almost impossible situations or, you know, just defending himself where he doesn't need to defend himself, like in arguments. You know, his actions just speak for themselves, and he doesn't have to prove himself to anybody, but he's constantly looking out there for that validation of his inherent goodness, you know. So, but he's a flawed character, and in this issue, they're looking at team recruitment. Basically, they're voting who's going to be on the West Coast Avengers and who's not going to be. And all this conflict starts from, once again, Hawkeye and U.S. Agent kind of butting heads, just in general, you know, both, like I said, Alpha's trying to assert their dominance in the pecking order, I don't know, whatever.
The ultimate male.
A man who calls himself the ultimate object of desire, the mountain of molten lust.
I think it's more of, or in the line of Hawkeye not thinking that US Agent's earned his chops. He hasn't earned his place here like the rest of the Avengers had. So that's kind of the subplot here. I'll go into that a little bit more here shortly. But the other great part about this is, of course, the superhero fight. It's right there on the cover. That's what moves comics. You know, I think superhero manos sell a lot better than, you know, hero versus villain, because everyone's used to seeing the villain, and by and large, most of the time, at least in Marvel, most of the time the heroes are much stronger than the villains anyway, so it's not usually a huge knockdown drag out. But in this one, it basically spans half the issue. It's a really good one. It's drawn well, and there's some great action scenes in there, and it kind of shows a lot of what both fighters are capable of in a somewhat enclosed environment. So, the story. Okay, spoiler alerts here. If you haven't read this and plan to read it, you might want to stop watching now and skip to the end of my video in a few minutes, whenever that may be. I don't know. I'll put something down there in the description, because you know me, I tend to ramble. But, so, Captain America puts out an edict to all the Avengers teams out there. There were so many Avengers teams, right? Whatever. Saying that, hey, this is democracy, and you need to vote your people in. There's a limited amount of spaces we can have, so you vote in your primaries and your alternates. So the first part of the book kind of goes into, it's kind of cool because it tells it through flashback sequences, not in a really weird way, but this is only like flashing back like an hour or two, you know. But so yeah, the team has to vote on the members themselves, so it's not like outside parties are voting on it, it's the internal team. So they got to figure out who gels best with the team, you know, what power set or whatever works best, but mostly it's about gelling, because they got some pretty non-powered heroes in there. And long story short is, very early on, it looks like US Agent's going to be voted off the main team and going to be an alternate, which really pisses him off. He shows them shattering the tops of the meeting table, or the conference table they're all sitting at, because he can't control his temper. This has plagued him through the years with him. I'll get back to US Agent here just a little bit. US Agent is a lot like a child. He's given great power, but he just doesn't know how to deal with it. He's a fractured psyche. He's not a good fit for superpowers, but he's been given them. Well, he bought them, but he's been given superpowers. So many times through the comics, he's more wont to destruction than he is through placation, you know, if that makes any kind of sense. He'd rather just go out there and duke it out with somebody than try to ease the situation down, you know. And another reason why he's never a good fit for the mantle of Captain America, or at least in Captain America's vein that he had, you know, laid down over the years and decades and almost century or whatever before, is he's lethal. US Agent kills people. He goes nuts. He almost goes into a low-grade berserker rage, and he just kills everybody that's around him. I can't remember which one it was. I'll have to dig it up. It's another Captain America issue where, oh yeah, I think it's Captain America 350. Giant size. Great issue, by the way, where he and Cap fight at the end. Another battle of the Titans. But he's surrounded by these henchmen of Red Skull and some of the other, you know, super villains that he surrounds himself with, whatever. And so he's got this room full of bad guys. So he's outnumbered badly, but he starts killing folks, like brutally, like breaking them. And these aren't robots he's killing real people. So this is the one thing that disgusts Captain America about him and thinks that he tarnished his legacy. But anyway, I'll get off all that. But anyway, just getting back to it, US Agent is a very flawed character. And obviously he's not gelling too well with his West Coast Avenger teammates, and they kind of vote him off the island. Hawkeye gets voted in. Now this entire time, because US Agent is one of the first ones that you hear the votes for, he is constantly ribbing on US Agent, and he's grinding it in there because they don't like each other. And, you know, they're almost coming to blows right there in the conference room, but people are holding him back and all that. So Hawkeye makes it, US Agent doesn't. He's an alternate. So they decide after the fact, oh, what's funny is Mockingbird's in there. Mockingbird and Hawkeye used to be married or whatever. And she gets like one vote, and she thinks it's him. Well, he didn't actually cast a vote for her. It's never really said who does. So she was technically an alternate. But so she gets pissed at him out there in the public area and kind of embarrasses him a little bit, saying to kind of buzz off and lose her number and all that good stuff. And, of course, US Agent gets, you know, he hears this. He's staying off in the background, so he starts ribbing into Hawkeye quite a bit. Probably deservedly so for all the crap that Hawkeye was dishing out earlier. And so they decide to go meet mano to mano outside the camp or outside the base, out in this really cool scenery too. It's like a beach, or it's like a cliffs overhanging a beach, overlooking a beach. So it's a cool zone. So, long story short, they both gear up. Hawkeye has this battle armor on. It's kind of wonky looking. And he has his bow and arrow. And, of course, U.S. Agent has his shield. So they're scrapping back and forth. And, of course, Hawkeye's no match for him physically, mano to mano. But eventually, they start jawing back and forth, like kind of an intermission in between. They're swinging around, and they're kind of talking at each other. And both of them make some pretty salient points. U.S. Agent is on him about, you never gave me a chance, you kicked me out your first opportunity, you never tried to work with me, and you're always taunting me just because I'm not an old-timer like you guys. And he's disparaging, then he's just going and disparaging Steve Rogers, Captain America. It's like, you know what, I can bench press 10 tons, you shouldn't be fooling with me, and this is why, Captain America, I should take his place. I'm better than him, basically, because I'm stronger than him, And then Hawkeye, that really pisses Hawkeye off. He freaking lays into him, at least with the verbal assault here. And he's like, Cap may not be able, this is a great line right here. He's like, Cap may not be able to juggle elephants, but he's worth 10 of you. Actually, he called him Steve Rogers, but you get the point. He's like, what makes you a hero is not exactly what you can do, it's what you actually do. And it's not just, physical heroics that make a hero a hero. But it's a pretty cool thing. And he gets so pissed, he's like, the hell with this. I don't even need these things to beat you. So he takes off his battle armor, he throws his bow away, he's like, I'm not going to waste another arrow on you, fool. And U.S. Agent's like, that's not a good idea. So like, I'm going to turn you into a jellyfish if you take that armor off. He says, you know what I can do physically. And Hawkeye doesn't give an inch, man. He goes after him again. And so they're fighting back and forth some more. And over the course of things, he's kind of beating up on Hawkeye pretty good. And then he accidentally kind of backhands Hawkeye, once again not knowing how to control his power too well, right off the cliff. So Hawkeye falls off the cliff. He breaks his fall with some Deus Ex Machina, tree on the cliff with a arrowhead grappling hook he had on his belt, but whatever, it softens his fall, but he still hits pretty hard in the beach below, and he's kind of laying there semi-conscious. And in a takeaway of how U.S. Agent is not really a bad guy, he's just misguided most of the time. He goes down there and he's really concerned about him. He's thinking, oh God, I killed this poor guy, I'm sorry. He's like, and he's espousing the whole time down there, says, I hated you, but I don't want to kill you, I don't want to hurt you. And he goes down there to see if he's still alive, to check it, and and Hank starts right in on him again, punches him right out of there, and is talking more crap. And then this is where U.S. Agent loses it. He freaking beats him into the ocean, beats him to a pulp. He basically unconscious, and he's in the water. So U.S. Agent picks him up and gets him out of the water so he doesn't drown or whatever. And he's like, you should thank me for pulling some of these punches, or you look like these jellyfish are swimming around out here. and Hawkeye still, he's like, you can tell that they have the all lowercase letters and it's written in small font or whatever. He's like barely conscious. And he's like, have you had enough yet? And he punches U.S. Agent again. And then U.S. Agent just pimp slaps him away and
Hi, I'm with the Port Commission.
freaking knocks him completely cold, drags him out of the water on the beach so once again doesn't drown. And the other West Coast Avengers kind of knew what was going to be happening, so they all rushed down there and broke up the fight that was no longer taking place. Their timing is impeccable for heroes, right? And they all kind of lay into U.S. Agent how he's not a team player, and just so he didn't think that Hawkeye would get away with what he had done, he's going to be suspended indefinitely when he gains consciousness. That's kind of a funny line, too. And Iron Man really gives him the shtick. He's like, I didn't start out too good, and I worked on myself over the years, improved myself, and finally became a fit for the Avengers. And he says, like, while you haven't done well so far, maybe you can improve yourself. Maybe if you just suck it up, listen to us, and, toe the line, maybe you can be Avengers material one day. And he's like, will you stick around? And he tells Iron Man to just basically shove it. And when it storms off, and at the very end, they're kind of wondering whether he's going to be an enemy of the Avengers or a friend in the future. But it basically lets off there. So that's basically the end of the issue. And while... Okay, end of spoilers, basically. But, so it doesn't paint U.S. Agent in real good light somewhat. I think it kind of does. A lot of this somewhat throwaway, issue, kind of lets people know that that's why I refer to him as a child. I don't think he means to do a lot of stuff he does. He's killed people. He doesn't know how to control his power. It was given to him too fast, and he didn't have the right kind of mental discipline to deal with it. So while it paints him in a negative light, it humanizes him. It lets people know that U.S. agent, yeah, he's flawed, but he doesn't mean bad. He's not a villain. He really sincerely wants to help, and he just can't understand why everyone won't let him help in his own chaotic, destructive manner. So I think it's kind of cool. It kind of gives him a face, a lot more than some of the other, one-dimensional stories that he'd been in, like a Super Patriot and all that. That was the other thing I forgot to mention. That is, he got his start as a superhero by staging an event of bad guys attacking, I think it was like a parade or something, and he went in there and broke it up, but he actually paid those guys off, and later on it was found out what he had done. So yeah, he doesn't want to wait for it. He just wants to go out and, have his place in the hierarchy of heroes, and, it costs him. As it costs many people who try to cut corners and take things too quickly they're not ready for. So there's kind of a humorous thing in this book. I think it's on page 9. Hopefully it'll come through here. It's one of the worst color spells I've ever seen in a Marvel book. But let's see. It's in this top panel right here by my finger. And, come on, focus. If you can see it there, they've turned Hawkeye into Grimace or Barney. I can't tell which, but his whole face is purple. So, not just his outfit. So I thought that was kind of funny. But anyway, this is West Coast number 69, or West Coast Avengers number 69 in a nutshell. Please save all double entendre innuendo jokes, please. But I didn't pick it because of the number. I picked it because I just think it's one of the better, actually, West Coast Avengers books. Like I said, it reiterates that U.S. agent's flawed. I know I keep repeating that, but I think it's important when you consider this character. But it also shows that Hawkeye's kind of flawed too. He's prone to the same petty jealousies and angers and focusing on random minutia that he probably shouldn't be. He's an established hero. He should be able to look beyond all that, but he just can't because he has personality flaws like all of us do. So I like that. It makes him less of a all-around flawless good guy like Captain America or Superman or whatever, and it just humanizes him, which is great because he is a human character after all, right? And aren't we all human? We all suffer from the human condition, and most of the flaws that we have can probably be just attributed to the human material, but to quote Buster Scruggs. But anyway, all right, well, I'll probably ramble on long enough about it. So how would I rate this book? Well, I've devised a new rating scale. I'm going to do this in the dorkiest possible way and give this a rating of good or bad, right? So good will be a blue lightsaber. Hopefully it shows up in the green screen. And bad will be a red lightsaber. All that evil stuff, I guess. So what would I rate this one? That's right, folks. It is an amazing book. It's great. I think you can get it for almost cover price still to this day. But just pick it up and read it and check it out and see if you pick up the nuance that I did in this book. Hopefully I'm not overthinking it like crazy. But, I'm one to do that. So anyway, I'll go ahead and wrap it up now. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Stay tuned for more comics content, more Hearthstone content, more Was It Good reviews, and heck, I might even do another movie review or interview here shortly in the near future. Anyway, until next time, this is Genome in an epic battle